Hello guys, welcome back to Infinite Insight Geometry, Lesson 2.7, Angle Bisectors. Alright, let's begin. So, before we talk about angle bisectors, we need to know what a bisector is. And it's better to use it as a verb. Bisect is to split into two equal parts. For example, the midpoint of a line segment bisects it, because a midpoint of a line segment makes the line segment split into two equal parts. This segment is split into two smaller segments with the same length. An angle bisector is the same thing as a midpoint on a line segment. An angle bisector is a ray that bisects an angle. So if you have an angle measure of an angle, the angle bisector is a ray that splits the angle into two equal angles that have the same measure. So the two angles created by the angle bisector have equal measures because it splits it perfectly in half. Those are the only definitions for lesson 2.7. But what we need to know is how to use all of the definitions that we learned in this unit, Unit 2, such as midpoints and distance, as well as angles and angle bisectors, in order to appreciate two-column proofs that use all of these methods. So, I'm going to give you an example. Given that the measure of angle BAD, as you can see over here, is 30 degrees, it's shown on the diagram, and ray AD is an angle bisector of BAC, what is the measure of angle BAC? I'll give you a moment to pause and figure this out. And here is the entire two-column proof. As you can see, we state that the measure of angle BAD is 30 degrees and ray AD is an angle bisector of angle BAC. Those are both given. Since angle BAD and angle DAC are congruent by the definition of angle bisector, that their measures must be equal. The measure of angle BAD equals the measure of angle DAC by the definition of congruency. We substitute 30 degrees as the measure of angle BAD, so 30 degrees is the measure of angle DAC, and since angle BAD and angle DAC are adjacent by the definition of adjacent angles, and as we can also see on the diagram, because it's kind of clear that they are adjacent, that means that we can use the angle addition postulate to say that the measure of angle BAD plus the measure of angle DAC equals the measure of angle BAC. That's why we use the angle addition postulate. We substitute 30 degrees for both the measure of angle BAD and the measure of angle DAC because we proved that they are both equal to each other. And we substitute them, and then we simplify 30 degrees plus 30 degrees equals 60 degrees. So the answer is the measure of angle BAC is 60 degrees. And maybe you even figured this out earlier, but it would also be the same if you substituted the measure of angle BAD for the measure of angle DAC. Because since they are both equal to each other, you can substitute one for the other, meaning that you can do 2 times the measure of angle BAD or 2 times the measure of angle DAC, which would be 2 times 30 degrees, which would also be 60 degrees, which is the measure of angle BAC. The key thing here to know are the angle BAD and angle DAC are congruent because that's the definition of an angle bisector. It splits it into 2 equal parts. And also the other postulate that we use, the angle addition postulate, which is also going to be useful for other proofs going forward. And that'll be all for today's lesson. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. I have my email in the description. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and I will see you all next time.